engagement sessions, and specifically converting free engagement sessions into paid weddings. It was actually one of the hacks, I guess I'll call it a hack, that I discovered really early on in my career. So I'm actually going to talk to Lachlan in this video as well, and he's going to add a lot more context because he is much more on the business side, and he's worked with 80 or 90 photographers doing this. So he has a lot more visibility on what is working generally for everyone, whereas I have my own personal experience of what worked for me. So looking back at the beginning of my career, I was a band photographer, I was a concert photographer. I could do professional looking work. The problem was that I had very limited trust in the wedding photography market. And what this means is that a couple would come to my website and they could see a couple of the wedding photos that I had taken, but not really a whole gallery going back 5 or 10 years, and also not the vendor connections and relationships that they might expect a seasoned wedding photographer to have. And I could sense this hesitation in a lot of my couples, that they would be in contact with me and a lot of the questions would be pretty basic, or like, how long have you been doing this? And really a lot of questions just to make them comfortable with the fact that I'm going to be around and I'm going to show up to their wedding, and that I'm not going to just disappear from the planet and go somewhere else and do something else. I've only been doing this for a little bit. And on the inverse of that, if they are comparing myself as a newer photographer against somebody that's been doing it for 20 years, there's going to be quite a gap in terms of trust. They're going to trust that person a lot more. And that was obviously a huge problem, that I was losing a lot of bookings to more established photographers, and photographers that I feel like I was as good as, but they were just getting way more bookings. And now the way that I overcame this in a very quick way was I started offering free engagement sessions. So if a qualified lead came in, I would offer them a free try before you buy, that we would go out, we would take pictures. This is kind of selfish as well, because I needed portfolio, and the more portfolio I generated, the more locations that I shot at, the more SEO I would have on the internet, and the more trust that I would be generating. But then they also got the confidence that I was offering them a free engagement session before they even gave me any money. So I think a lot of them felt my confidence that I was the photographer for them, and I'm willing to go out and do a free job in order to convince them of that. And it turned out a lot of those couples actually ended up booking wedding packages before the engagement session even happened. So we hadn't even shot the engagement session. They hadn't seen the try before you buy. They hadn't worked with me. But now we're going to talk to Lachlan about, number one, how to actually generate those inquiries and get those people coming to your website. And then 2, how to convert a free engagement session into a paid wedding day.
Mr. Taylor, you want to know the secret sauce? You want me to tell people?
Yes, please.
You want me to give away all the secret Ignite sauce? The execution is everything. It's about making sure you actually qualify the clients well. It's making sure that they're not just trying to get a free session and ghost you, and making sure that they're actually at the right stage of planning to be booking the wedding. So what I'm going to do on this video is I'm going to walk you through exactly like all the steps that are involved in running the Ignite program. And I think it'll give you a really good idea of exactly how it works, and it will make a lot of sense. So very simply, our team is generating ad creative that effectively has your photos, your portfolio, and it says, hey, enter to win a free engagement session if you like my work. So that's the ad. We obviously test a lot of different types of creative, and our ads team does a lot of optimization and testing to make sure that the targeting is right and that we're getting as low cost as we can on the ads. But what happens is people are seeing these ads, they're clicking to go to a landing page on your website, and essentially that landing page just reiterates that you're offering free engagement sessions, and it asks them to fill out a form. Now, this is really important. We ask a lot of really direct questions. We're like, what is your wedding date and venue? You know, tell us a bit about yourself as a couple. We're flat out asking them, hey, do you have a photographer booked yet? Yes or no? If you don't have a photographer booked yet, you know, would you consider booking Taylor? And then we flat out ask them, like, what is your budget? So we're asking them like really heavy qualifying questions to make sure that they're actually like a good fit and that there's a high potential of them converting into a paid wedding booking. Now, from that inquiry, we then do another stage of qualification. In Ignite Studio Manager, your studio manager is watching the leads as they come in, and their job is actually to reach out to the couples and say, hey couple, just want to let you know, like, thank you so much for entering in and being interested in Taylor and getting a free engagement session with Taylor. The reason that he is offering these free engagement sessions is because he thinks it's a great way to meet couples and see if they would consider booking him for the wedding. So right off the bat, we're letting them know that this is not about just getting a free engagement session. It's about actually, you know, potentially booking Taylor. And we send pricing, we send all this information so that there's no excuse for them, you know, suddenly getting to the end and being like, oh, I didn't know Taylor was that expensive. We actually get them to respond yes, essentially, either over text, phone call, or email, that they understand they're signing up for a timeshare. But honestly, like, a lot of couples love this format because, you know, they try on the wedding dress before they buy it. They tour the venue before they book it. You know, they try the cake. A lot of the vendors that they're booking for their wedding, they're used to actually getting to make sure that they're right. So when they hear that this is kind of a try before you buy, they get to work with Taylor, they get to know him, they get to make sure they trust him before they book him. They're like, wow, that sounds great. You know, we're actually in the process of picking our photographer right now, so this is perfect. From there, we then do another stage of qualification. So this is essentially the third qualification stage, is inviting the couple to actually meet Taylor. So if I'm Taylor's studio manager, I say to the couple, hey, you know, Taylor would love to meet you. You know, rather than just show up to the engagement session and be awkward, why don't you guys hop on a quick call just to meet each other and make sure there's good vibes there. And then that also gives you an opportunity as the photographer to then decide if you want to move forward with that client. It's really, really hard for them to fake trying to get a free engagement session on a video call. Like, you know, when you start asking about their wedding planning and stuff, you know, you can tell if they're faking it. So a lot of people are going to be, you know, really excited to meet Taylor, talk with him, talk about their wedding. And if the vibes are good, then of course we're going to offer a free engagement session to them. And then Taylor's going to blow their socks off.
I like that. So my original strategy, so I did this when I was first getting started, and my original strategy was definitely the volume-based approach because I needed portfolio at that time. So I basically just said yes to anyone that looked like they could be even a remote fit for my business. And some of them did end up booking, but it was definitely more of a volume approach, whereas this is a lot more targeted. And when you're doing that engagement session, it is a lot more likely that that couple is for sure going to be booking you for their wedding, which is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's our philosophy. If you know Focal, like, our philosophy is, you know, unfortunately, when people see your photos, that's like the carrot. They're like, ooh, pretty photos. They want to know more. How do I get photos like that? But at the end of the day, like, the sad truth is that your photos are somewhat replaceable. There are a lot of really great photographers out there that can do a good job and make that couple happy, but there's only one Taylor. And so if they get to meet Taylor and they build a relationship with Taylor and they trust Taylor, he's the only Taylor. And it's a lot of work to go find another comparable to Taylor. And so that's really, like, after that trust is built, you've pretty much booked them. And after the engagement session, probably, I imagine, Taylor, what you did was you just sent them the photos. Like, after the engagement session, you just, here's the photos.
Yeah, here you go. If you want to, let me know if you want to talk wedding plans. Or sometimes you would talk during the actual engagement session, and you would get some sort of vibe that, like, they were probably going to move forward with you. A lot of the time, actually, my couples booked before the engagement session even happened, which was kind of incredible. That as soon as I offered, as soon as they took me up on it, they were also like, and we'd also like to book you for the wedding. I'm like, this is confusing. This isn't the way I thought this would go.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, I'll give another bit of the secret sauce away that we do in Ignite, is we do a soft close after the consult. So if I was your studio manager, I would say to the couple, hey couple, like, Taylor told me how great it was meeting on the call. You guys really hit it off, and you know, wedding season's, or booking season is right now. Like, 2025 dates are kind of going out the door. You know, it might not be another month until you do the engagement session. Something I recommend as Taylor's studio manager is let's lock your date down. So a lot of couples will just jump on, you know, grabbing the date then because they don't want to risk Taylor not having that date available if somebody else books them for it. And if they're a little bit, like, unsure about that, something you can always do is just say, hey, you know what, why don't we make that contract and that retainer refundable for the next month so that we have time to do the engagement session. And if for some reason you hate working with Taylor and the photos or something, then, like, no problem, there's an out. You know, and that of course never happens because they have a great experience, but it just, like, helps them overcome that objection. It gets the date locked in, and then you've essentially booked the wedding before the engagement session even happens. But if that doesn't happen, then what we like to do is a gallery reveal. So Taylor, like, have you ever done a gallery reveal before like Ignite?
I have never done one personally. I never really could get on board with the IPS thing. I know that I'm leaving a ton of money on the floor, but it was just something that I wasn't comfortable with. I'm definitely not a comfortable salesperson, I wouldn't say, and I'm always a soft close. So it's definitely something that's new for me. Fair
enough, yeah. So this is something like we do in Ignite that's really effective, and I also think it's something that couples really like. Is we highly encourage doing gallery reveals. So rather than having the couple just like open their phone up at work and look at the photos and be like, "Ooh, nice," we always pitch to them like, "Hey, this engagement session was so awesome. I highly recommend you come and do a gallery reveal. You can be present. We can look through the photos together. And it's also a great opportunity to ask any questions you have about which package might be right for the wedding, any questions you have about planning, or, do you need that second shooter, or do you want the hybrid video coverage?" So we pitch it as like, the time to talk about booking, but also that it's like just a nice thing to actually sit down and like be present and experience the photos. And what we see a lot on the gallery reveal is couples like bursting into tears. They're like crying. They're so happy. Like it's actually, I think it brings back that experience of working with the photographer. And again, it's just that trust and that rapport coming back up again. So I think the gallery reveal is really important. And that's what leads to a lot of the bookings right then and there, because it's such an emotional experience. So yeah, we are big believers in doing gallery reveals.
Yeah, so this is a much better approach to this, converting free engagement sessions into weddings than I did when I just offered them over email to couples. So it starts with building out that landing page on your Focal website, collecting enough information to make sure that they're qualified.
Yeah, soft close, right? And then actually shooting the session and then gallery reveal. So right there, I mean, you can see how many touch points there are there, and that's not even all of them. Like we do other soft closes. We're sending them education because, they probably don't even know like when they should be booking a photographer. So we send them a wedding planning guide to help educate them. Hey, yeah, like this time frame, we're about less than a year out from 2025 dates. So like you should be on this. And then they're like, "Oh, I just didn't know that." Right. So again, building that trust, education throughout the process. That's what we do in the Ignite engagement session campaign. And I think just if you've heard that and you're thinking, "Oh, I've done free engagement sessions before," when you hear all those steps, I can guarantee you're probably just like, "Hey, free engagement session." And then someone's like, "I'll do it." And then you just like book them in, and then you show up, and then they get free photos, and then they never talk to you again. So it's kind of sucky.
Yeah, for sure. This is, I guess there's two ways. So you can, if you want to do this yourself, you can pull the bits and pieces from the talk that we've had here. But do you want to talk a little bit about if you actually want Focal to handle all of this for you? And it's a lot more of a hands-off process, and you get a studio manager, which is still crazy to me.
Yeah, definitely. So we kind of have two different types of Ignite program. So one is our most popular, which is our Ignite Studio Manager program, and we've recently been pilot testing Ignite Self-Serve. And so what that is our team still setting up the landing pages, running the ads for you, optimizing the audiences, trying to get the cost as low as possible in the Ignite program for you. But then what we're doing is actually giving you all the resources, the email templates, videos, and education on how to run that process that I just described. So we're essentially handing over the secret sauce to you. We're going to continue running the ads. You don't actually have to manage the campaigns. The big benefit of this program, the self-serve, is that there's no revenue share here. So if you are someone that feels confident in your ability to sell, if you're a photographer that you know that when you get in front of clients, like maybe you're somebody that every time you have a call, you're like 9 out of 10 booking them, self-serve might be a good option for you. But it's going to be a lot of work sending those emails because you don't have the studio manager actually managing that for you, booking the clients in and everything. So if you want to do a little bit more work but have more kind of upside, then self-serve is a really great option. If you're like Taylor and you're always giving discounts to clients, every time you get on a call, you're like, "I'll do it for free." Studio manager is a really good option. Maybe you have a family and you don't have time to be like emailing with like 30 clients a day, then Studio Manager is a great option because you literally have a dedicated person from Focal here in the office looking after you and doing that correspondence and all the heavy lifting there. So those are kind of the two options. Obviously, Studio Manager comes with the revenue share, and that's because our team and your studio manager are most motivated to book you weddings for that revenue share. When you get a booking, we get a booking, and that's really nice. So kind of two options there. So one other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of our strategy with the ads and the targeting in Ignite is that we're very, very deliberate about targeting clients very early on in their wedding planning. I think there's a lot of misinformation, or I think photographers sometimes they think that a good lead is somebody that has a wedding date, a venue. Okay, sorry, I think I gotta get these guys. Hey.
Studio managers are getting too loud.
Freaking howling back here. All right, one other part of the secret sauce that I wanted to talk about in the Ignite program is how we actually target couples in their wedding planning process. So I think a lot of photographers are used to generating leads where they think a good lead is somebody that's got a wedding date, a venue, they're like booking video, DJ, and photographer, and they're kind of just on the step of like, I am booking photographer now. And that's where we hear a lot of people are struggling with clients ghosting them and maybe like competing on pricing and stuff like that. Now, if you think about it, when someone is at the stage of having already booked the date, the venue, and other vendors, they've spent like a shit ton of their money already. Like they're 30 grand in the hole at this point, and they're on the like, I need to book a photographer stage, and they're burnt out of wedding planning, and they're comparing you against like 10 other people. Now, our approach is actually to target them earlier. So what we do is we like to target them right at the stage where they're planning the date and venue. So maybe they've just got the date and are figuring out the venue, or they're just kind of finalizing those two. 40% of the weddings we book through Ignite, when the inquiry comes in, they actually don't have a solid date yet. And that's very deliberate. We target them there because at the beginning of their wedding planning, they haven't even thought about a photographer yet. So there's no competition. They're thinking about date and venue. They haven't spent any money yet. So they're in the budget planning part of wedding planning. And that means like if I introduce Taylor to them at this stage and they're like, oh my God, we love Taylor, we have to have him at the wedding, they start to carve out this Taylor piece of the pie and make sure that it works in their budget to have Taylor for the wedding. The one downside of this approach is that you end up having a much longer sales process. So on average, the weddings in Ignite are booking around the 60 to 70 day mark from when the inquiry comes in. And that's because, they're coming in early, they're finalizing that date and venue, and then right after that, they're pretty much doing the photographer. But it's getting in early, it's building that trust, that relationship. So when they're ready to do the photographer, you're just like right there and they already have you in mind. So something I want to be really transparent about is kind of what you can expect in the Ignite program as far as weddings booked and the effort that you have to put in to get that. So if you were to start the Ignite program today, you're essentially going to see 20 to 30 leads that month. Sometimes a lead a day or a lead every other day. So you'll see these leads pouring in, you'll see your studio manager qualifying them, and then soon you'll start taking video calls. On average, you're probably gonna be taking 2 to 3 video consults a week. And hopefully like 2 of those 3 or 3 of those 3 are really, really good fits and you see them as being potential wedding couples. Ultimately, we see that for every engagement session, about 50% of them will book into a wedding within 2 to 3 weeks. So like I said, it's a lot of what you put into the program is what you get out. So if you're willing to do more calls, more engagement sessions, you get more weddings. If you're lazy, this probably isn't the program for you. But ultimately, like we do try to structure it in a way that you get to do the fun things. You get to talk to couples, you get to shoot, and you don't have to do all the emailing and correspondence. Our benchmark for actually getting you booked, paid, contract signed weddings is we want every photographer in Ignite to get 1 wedding a month. And so that's kind of our benchmark, our average. Some of the top photographers in the program are doing double that. So just to give you an idea of what to expect as far as your return on investment in Ignite, I know, it is a big investment in your business, and knowing what you can get out of it is really important. So that is kind of the range to expect. There are people on the extremes for sure, but if you're willing to put in the work, 1 to 2 weddings a month is very, very reasonable.
So when it comes to Ignite, there is an application process because there is a finite number of studio managers and they can't take infinite people. Do you want to talk a little bit about that process and who's a good fit for Ignite?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not going to lie, we are pretty ruthless about our application process in Ignite. You know, we're only making money really when we're booking you weddings. So we have to make sure that that partnership is the right fit. So we're looking for photographers that have really great portfolio, really, really great experience, and are great with couples. So we're looking at your work and your personality, and also your willingness to put in the work in the program. You know, this program isn't easy. You don't just turn on the ads and the money starts pouring down the funnel. You have to put in a bit of work, and we have to put in work, and we have to be like a good partnership. So we're looking for photographers that feel really confident that if they can get in front of clients, talking to them on video calls, doing engagement sessions, that they're able to engage and clients are going to want to book them. We're looking for photographers as well who kind of, if you find yourself always discounting your packages, or anytime you get on a call, you hate being salesy and you know that you're kind of like devaluing your business and not closing, like that's somebody that we look for and we know we can help. Essentially what we're looking for are photographers who are really great value, people that, you know, are probably charging a little less than they should be, and we even want to encourage you to increase your prices, but are delivering great work, and we just know that if we run ads for you and get you in front of people, you will end up booking. So I would say ultimately, if you're somebody that feels like you are struggling on the business side, you know, you get ghosted by clients a lot, or you're scared to follow up, that's a very common one. And trust me, the studio managers here at Focal are not afraid of following up. So, you know, if you're like not sending follow-up emails, that's sort of like telling you that you have the ingredients that people want. People see your photos, they like you, they talk to you, they like you, but you're maybe not doing a good job on the business side. That's where a studio manager can really elevate your business. I think having a studio manager, it also makes your business appear kind of more professional, more high-end, more legit. People are like, wow, you have a studio manager. That's awesome. And the studio managers from Focal will always represent your business. To the clients, to the couples, they're gonna have no idea that Focal exists. If I'm Taylor's studio manager, hi, I'm Lachlan, I'm Taylor Jackson's studio manager. And so it's a really nice addition to how your business runs. Okay, so I talked a little bit about the free engagement session campaign, and I just wanted to let you know that might not be the only channel for you getting paid weddings through your Ignite program. About 20% of couples actually, they see the ad, and rather than clicking on the sketchy ad link, they're like, I'm gonna go check out their Instagram. And so they often go to your profile on Instagram. And this is something that the Focal team will actually help with during your onboarding process. We'll audit your Instagram. We'll make sure that it's set up as best as possible for converting clients that are checking out. And we have really, really good tracking that shows they saw the ad, they went to your Instagram profile, they clicked your link in bio, and then they went to your website. And then we also help you during the website setup process with putting together packages that are well structured as far as, you know, kind of popcorn pricing, easy entry point for couples that, you know, maybe are considering budget constraints. And you'll see that you will get direct inquiries through the Ignite program. And so what that means is they're not entering to get a free engagement session, but they're actually going to your website and then just making a regular inquiry. And these are really great because you don't have to put the work in of doing a free engagement session to book them. You know, they're just going to kind of come in as a regular inquiry. Your studio manager will let you know that it's from your Ignite ads, and they'll support you and give you advice and poke you a bunch of times to make sure you follow up and call them. And those are really great because they end up booking, you know, really fast, usually within a week or two of the inquiry. Yeah. So much shorter sales cycle on those ones.
Yeah, that was my first, I think it was the actual first inquiry that I got through Ignite was actually one of those, that it wasn't an inquiry for the free engagement session, it was from the paid ad that ended up booking. And they booked a lot faster than that usual sales cycle. I think it was like maybe even the next day. I think we did a call that night and then they were ready to book the next day.
And the reality is that couples want to book. They need to book a photographer. They're getting married. Like, it's one of the boxes to check off. So just getting yourself in front of them. Every couple is going to have a different way that they want to book. Some are going to love the free engagement session. Some are just going to see, your website and be like, this is easy, it makes sense. And book websites are easy and they make sense. And so they'll just inquire that way. So, we're really trying to account for all the different ways that couples might want to book you, and then just make it easy for them, depending on what they want.
So there it is, how to convert free engagement sessions into paid wedding bookings. Check out the links down below if you're interested in getting started with this. And if you do want Focal's help, you want Lachlan to help you out, there are 2 ways you can go about doing that. And there is links down below for more information.